You believe you're a good person. But Nietzsche would ask, good by whose standard? The truth is brutal. You're not good. You're compliant. You've been trained like an obedient pet, rewarded for being non-threatening, punished for daring to think, to challenge, to break the mold. What you call good is often just the absence of resistance, the absence of danger. From childhood, you were shaped not into a person, but into a product. You were given scripts, told to obey, rewarded for silence. You learned to please. Teachers follow rules, blend in, and they called it good behavior. But Nietzsche knew true goodness isn't obedience, it's authenticity. It's the power to create your own values, to say no when others nod, to break a rule when they offend. Deeper truth demands it. He saw that society doesn't reward strength. It neuters it, cloaks it in guilt, and sells you a plastic version of virtue. So ask yourself, are you really good or just well-behaved? Most people don't choose their morality. They inherit it, like furniture, like a leash. But what if your goodness is the very thing holding you back? What if everything noble, powerful, and creative within you has been buried under the weight of obedience? You were not born to be good. You were born to be real. And real cannot be trained. Morality was not born in truth. It was built in factories. Factories of religion, factories of government, factories of education. Each one designed not to elevate you, but to domesticate you. Nietzsche called this process moral conditioning, a system not of liberation, but of control. You are not taught to be powerful. You are taught to be predictable. You memorize rules written by men who feared disobedience. You absorb values that reward you for being harmless. And you become a product, stamped, labeled, approved. They say, be humble, be kind, be respectful. But these virtues, Nietzsche warned, are often masks. Humility becomes self-erasure. Kindness becomes cowardice. Respect becomes submission. This is how the herd is formed, not through violence, but through virtue. And while you strive to be good, your will decays. Your instincts are dulled. You apologize for your intensity, your ambition, your hunger. The very things that make you alive, shaved down for social comfort. But a man who cannot question his morality is not moral. He is own. What if your idea of good was installed in you to keep you small? What if your guilt was programmed? To become who you truly are, you must leave the factory, not with rage, but with clarity. You must dismantle the morality that was handed to you and forge one that is yours, because anything inherited blindly is a cage, and no one becomes powerful by staying inside. To train a man into obedience, you don't have to chain him. You just have to shame his will. Society doesn't tell you to stop wanting power, truth, or greatness. It tells you that wanting those things makes you dangerous, that your fire is a flaw, that ambition is arrogance, that intensity is too much. And so, the will, the very engine of your becoming, is castrated. Nietzsche saw this happening everywhere. Men smiling while hollowed out, women praised for compliance, children rewarded for silence. The will is not killed directly. It's sedated, polished, dressed in politeness, and made to kneel. But the will doesn't disappear. It festers. The rage you feel at the world, at yourself, it's not weakness. It's the residue of a will that has been denied its rightful throne. You've been told to repress it, spiritualize it, distract it. But Nietzsche would say, unleash it, not in chaos, not in destruction, not in creation. Not use your will not to obey better, but to become dangerous in the noblest sense, to speak the truth when it burns your tongue, to act with precision when fear tells you to hesitate, to walk alone when the herd mocks you. This world is full of trained souls, polite, predictable, pitiful. But your will was not made to be tamed It was made to carve through illusion, to rise in defiance, to create values that terrify the system. And until you reclaim it, you are not living, you are behaving. What happens to a world that kills danger? It becomes numb, safe, sterile, and slowly it begins to rot. Nietzsche knew this well. Danger is not the enemy of humanity. It is its forge. It sharpens the mind, tests the will, and reveals the truth of who you are. But modern life has declared war on danger. And in doing so, it has declared war on growth. We live in padded cages. We fear offense more than deception. We call mediocrity balance, and cowardice compassion. But the absence of danger does not create peace. It creates decay. You are designed to face lions, to endure storms, to confront the unknown. But now you sit, smile, nod, obey, and wonder why you feel lifeless. Because without danger, your strength is never summoned. Without risk, your potential sleeps. And without fear, courage has no meaning. The good person is often just the safest one, the least disruptive, the most quiet. But greatness has never been safe. So here's the question Nietzsche forces us to face. Would you rather be safe and small, or dangerous and alive? Danger doesn't mean recklessness. It means being willing to say what no one will, to do what's necessary, not what's approved, to stand firm in the face of rejection, not with bitterness, but with truth. A dangerous soul isn't violent. It's awake. And when you awaken, the world will try to put you back to sleep with comfort, praise, shame, and distraction. Don't go back. The world fears the dangerous not because they destroy, but because they remind others of what they've forgotten, the power of being fully, truly untrained. You feel guilty for wanting more, for dreaming bigger, for walking away, for speaking too strongly, for breaking the script. But guilt is not proof of wrongdoing. It's proof of programming. Nietzsche saw guilt as one of society's sharpest tools, not to guide you toward truth, but to keep you from discovering it. You are taught to feel guilty, not for betraying your values, but for betraying theirs. The ones you never chose, the ones you inherited. They say you must be selfless, but they never ask who benefits from your self-denial. They praise humility, but only when your silence serves their comfort. And so, you build a life of quiet frustration, weighed down by invisible chains. Every time you step outside the line, the guilt whispers, "Go back, be good, be small." But what if guilt is not your conscience, but your leash? Nietzsche would say, examine your guilt like a weapon. Turn it in your hands. Ask, where did this come from? Who gave it to me? What would happen if I dropped it? You'll find that most of your guilt has nothing to do with real harm, and everything to do with disobedience. You weren't born guilty. You were taught to feel guilty for your strength, your instincts, your truth. But guilt dies when you name it. Say this clearly. I do not owe the world my obedience. Your fire is not a sin. It's a signal. And guilt is the smoke they use to smother it. Let it burn through the lie. Virtue has become performance. We wear it like makeup. A smile here, a quote there, a carefully crafted image of compassion, humility, wisdom. But Nietzsche would ask, what's underneath? Modern virtue is often hollow, not an expression of soul, but a social costume, a way to fit in, to be praised, to avoid discomfort. It's not about doing what's right. It's about looking like a good person. You've seen it. The influencer preaching authenticity while chasing validation. The passive man applauded for being nice. No, he's full of resentment. A woman taught to be agreeable, even when her soul screams for truth. Nietzsche saw this long ago, that society doesn't reward real virtue. It rewards obedience dressed as goodness. And in that reward, your true self withers. Because real virtue is costly. It's lonely. It's raw. It means being kind when no one sees, speaking the truth when no one claps, choosing the harder path not because it's rewarded, but because it's yours. A mask of virtue will protect you, but only from growth. It will make you likable, but never powerful. And Nietzsche didn't want you likable. He wanted you liberated. So strip the mask, not to be cruel, but to be true. The world doesn't need more actors. It needs souls on fire. You were not made to perform goodness. You were made to embody it in your own brutal, radiant way, and that can never be trained. The greatest danger Nietzsche warned us about wasn't tyranny. It was the herd, the masses themselves, but the collective hypnosis that sets in when too many people abandon thought for belonging. When being good becomes being accepted. When truth is replaced with trend. Look around you. Millions scroll in unison, speak in slogans, think in headlines. They mimic outrage, repeat mantras, post signals of virtue, not to seek truth, but to maintain status, to stay approved, to stay safe. This is not morality. This is programming. Nietzsche saw how terrifyingly easy it is for people to trade their minds for approval. The herd does not ask you to think. It asks you to agree, to kneel, smile, and nod. And if you don't, you're shamed, labeled, canceled. Not for being wrong, but for being different. So here's the question. Would you rather be good in their eyes or real in your own? A herd will not save you. It will not challenge you. It will not make you strong. It will only give you what Nietzsche despised most: comfort without freedom. To escape the herd, you must risk exile. You must dare to see with your own eyes, speak with your own voice, and walk your own path, even when it's silent, even when it's hated. You are not born to echo the herd. You are born to awaken from it. Comfort is the enemy you mistake for a friend. It wraps you in softness, whispers lies of safety, feeds you approval, and slowly starves your soul. Nietzsche warned, the more comfortable you become, the less alive you are. Because comfort numbs the will, and without will, there is no greatness, no danger, no real you. We chase comfort like it's a reward, a couch, a paycheck, a numbskull through curated lives. But what if comfort is the very thing killing your fire? What if it's not relief, but sedation? They've told you that happiness is found in ease. But Nietzsche says, ease is where you go to die slowly. The modern world feeds you luxury while stripping you of meaning. It trains you to seek pleasure, not purpose, to seek acceptance, not confrontation, to seek peace, even if it means suffocating the wild voice within you. But here's the truth. Your potential lives on the other side of discomfort. You don't become free by resting. You become free by resisting, by choosing the difficult path on purpose, by rising when you could stay down, by questioning when silence would be easier. Real strength is not built in spas and safe spaces. It's built in friction, in hunger, in the places where comfort dies. So ask yourself, what parts of you are still alive, and what parts are just comfortable? If you want to wake up, you must burn the pillow of your false peace, because no one becomes untamed by being comfortable. You were born wild. You learned obedience, not through truth, but repetition, approval, reward. Nietzsche understood this well. Obedience is not inborn, it's injected. Through school, family, media, religion, you were shown that to be good is to be silent, to follow, to nod, to reduce yourself so others feel bigger. And eventually, you stop questioning. You mistake your silence for maturity, your submission for virtue. You lose your edge and call it peace. But what if obedience isn't discipline? What if it's decay? The most dangerous thing in the world is not rebellion. It's blind compliance. It's a soul that no longer asks, why? You obey rules you've never examined, beliefs you've never chosen, expectations you never consented to. You call it life, but it's sleep. Nietzsche would tell you, obedience without examination is betrayal, not of others, of yourself. So how do you wake up? You begin by noticing the moments when your soul flinches, when your instinct says no, but your mouth says yes, when your truth rises, but your fear kills it. That is not integrity. That is training. You don't need to become a rebel. You need to become aware of where you've stopped being human and started being programmed. Because obedience is not always evil, but unconscious obedience always is. So disobey, not for chaos, but for clarity. Say no when it matters. Say yes when it's real. And never confuse politeness with power. Here's a truth most can't handle. Not all virtue is good. Sometimes virtue is violence in disguise. Nietzsche saw this clearly. He called it the slave morality, a system where the weak redefine their weakness as goodness and call strength evil, where passivity is sold as peace and ambition is painted as cruelty. And you've likely absorbed it. You've apologized for your confidence, hidden your intelligence, softened your voice, because someone told you that boldness was oppressive. But here's the twist. This system doesn't want balance. It wants submission. It wants to neuter the powerful by labeling their fire as pride, their leadership as domination, their clarity as arrogance. It's not morality. It's manipulation. Because when a society begins to confuse power with toxicity, clarity with hate, and strength with oppression, it is not becoming more moral. It is becoming more afraid, not afraid of those who cannot be controlled. You are not made to shrink to make others comfortable. You are not made to edit your soul into politeness. True virtue is not about being soft. It's about being true, even when the truth is sharp. So the next time they call you too much, ask, too much for who? Too much for the lie? Too much for the system? Good, because when virtue becomes a weapon used to tame the strong, your rebellion becomes holy. The world will clap for you as long as you betray yourself. Smile for the camera, numb your edge, brand your truth until it's marketable. They will reward you for being good as long as that goodness makes no one uncomfortable, especially you. Nietzsche saw that the modern world doesn't want thinkers. It wants performers. Not creators, but curators. People who know how to look good, not how to become good. So you put on the uniform, polite, agreeable, manageable, and you get applause. But every time you say yes when you mean no, every time you agree to be accepted, every time you dilute your thoughts to avoid conflict, a piece of you dies. That's not success. That's slow suicide. You don't need more followers. You need more truth, but truth costs. It demands solitude, rejection, sometimes even exile. That's why most people trade it for likes, claps, and comfort. But Nietzsche reminds us, he who cannot endure being alone with his truth is not free. He is decorative. So here's your turning point. Would you rather be loved for who you're not, or feared, respected, and awakened for who you truly are? Because every time you betray yourself to be seen as good, you bury the self that was born to be great. And one day, the applause will fade. Only your silence will remain. You've been told that rebellion is dangerous. But Nietzsche knew rebellion is the birthplace of real goodness. Not the goodness that's handed to you, the goodness you forge. Not a list of rules to obey, but a fire to walk through, alone, with blood on your hands and clarity in your eyes. Because true goodness is not obedience. It's creation. It's standing in front of a world built on lies in choosing not to kneel, not out of hatred, but out of truth. It's rejecting the systems that reward submission and choosing to build your own soul, one brutal step at a time. Rebellion isn't destruction. It's self-responsibility. It says, I will not be molded. I will mold. I will not be told who to be. I will decide. I will not live according to borrowed values. I will create my own. And this terrifies thee. Heard. Why? Because when one man stands up, truly stands, it exposes the others still crouched behind the illusion of morality. It shows them that their goodness is not chosen, it's inherited. That their lives are not lived, they're performed. Rebellion, real rebellion, is quiet, steady. Internal. It doesn't scream. It becomes. So stop trying to fit into a morality designed to shrink you. And start becoming someone so real, so dangerous, that the world has to rewrite its rules just to understand you. This is what Nietzsche meant by self-overcoming. You do not follow the path. You burn it and make your own. If you want to be free, truly free, you must become untrainable, not rebellious for the sake of chaos, not edgy to provoke, but inwardly sovereign, grounded. INCORUPTIBLE. Nietzsche believed in the sovereign individual, the one who no longer needs permission to think, to speak, to exist. A man or woman who has burned the scripts, unlearned the morality of the herd, and forged their own soul from the raw material of struggle. To become untrainable means this: you no longer act from fear. You no longer obey by default. You question everything, even the things you love, especially the things you believe. It means walking away from the applause and into silence, from comfort and into fire, from being liked and into being real. Untrainable doesn't mean undisciplined. It means self-directed. It means your compass is internal, not social. It means you are dangerous, not because you destroy, but because you cannot be controlled. And yes, they will fear you. The world fears what it cannot predict. It fears the man who does not need its approval. It fears the woman who speaks her truth without waiting for permission. But the world also needs you. It needs souls who remember what it means to be awake. It needs the untrainable to remind the obedient that freedom is still possible. So stop performing goodness. Start embodying truth, because the most powerful thing you can become is not good by their definition, but free by your own. This is where the mask falls. Not with rage, not with shame, but with clarity. You've spent a lifetime trying to be good. Good for your parents, good for your teachers, good for the system, good for the world. But never good for yourself. And now you feel the fracture. Because deep down, you know, the person you've trained yourself to be is not the person you were meant to become. Nietzsche said, become who you are, not who you are told to be, not who you pretend to be, but the self that burns beneath. The rules, the roles, the rehearsals. That self is not good. It is something far greater, true. Truth doesn't obey. It doesn't flatter. It doesn't submit. It confronts. It transforms. It creates. And that's what you must do now. Confront the lie. Transform the weakness. Create the self that cannot be trained. You are not here to be pleasing. You are not here to be polite. You are not here to be approved. You are here to become. So let them say you changed. Let them say you've lost your way, because the path you're walking now doesn't lead to their approval. It leads to your awakening. You are never meant to be a good person. You are meant to be your own person. Now go become him.